Welcome to the Nuremberg Messe podcast. I'm your host, Shonakshi Chakravarti, and this, as you know and have been following our podcasts, we have been getting all industry leaders and industry experts to come and talk to us about and share insights on their respective industries. Today, we are from Mumbai. We're coming to you from Mumbai, the city of dreams, the financial capital of India, at this lovely venue of Jio World Centre, where we are commencing 30 plus years, to be specific, the 32nd edition of the Broadcast India show, alongside Content India and Scat India, where we discuss all emerging trends in the world of broadcast media and infotainment industry, including the entertainment industry, the new technologies to look out for. But most importantly, the conversation that we will be having today is with Mr. Shailender Mathur, who is the Vice President and the Chief Architect at AVID. If you are somebody who has used the software called AVID, you would know that this conversation is going to be very insightful because we have the Chief Architect himself with us. So, Mr. Mathur, thank you very much for doing this, for taking the time out. You have come here not just as a guest on our podcast, but you've just given us a technical seminar on all things AVID. And I was a part of that session, and I can tell you that it was extremely insightful. For somebody who has used AVID, just to begin, by thanking you for giving us this time, for being part of the show. You also have a booth, which is very interesting. I would just want to begin by asking you your thoughts on Broadcast India, the 32nd edition, and why it is important to have a platform like this.
So thank you for having me on the podcast, and it's really wonderful to be here in India. Of course, I am originally from India, live in Canada, work for a US-based company, and for me personally to be here and to talk about technology and sometimes in my mother tongue, in Hindi, and describe it, it's really special. But that's a personal thing. The reason we need platforms like this, for sure, is not just to show what we're doing in our products and sell them, but if people like me in my role, we want to get feedback. We want to present, but the idea is not to push information, but to get feedback. Some of the questions that come up after the sessions, that's amazing. And also, it is really important, we're a global organization at AVID, it is really important that we get the Indian state of the union. Like, what is it that's particular about here? We talk about certain technologies. Sometimes they are biased towards other countries, other languages. What is the exact use case for India that may not work? This is the opportunity for us to learn. It's a very big country in India, large population with a lot of broadcast potential, and it's growing. So the economic might is growing. So we have to make sure that we're appealing to all the people over here when we're actually doing our broadcast productions, movie productions, any of the software that we're providing.
All right. So let's kickstart now. Let's dive in and understand more from Mr. Mathur. Mr. Mathur, you are the Vice President and the Chief Architect at AVID. Take us through your role, through your journey, and your expertise and how it has really shaped in exponentially growing the brand, and really to just talk about your role in the company.
Sure, absolutely. So I'm actually part of the office of the CTO, and I have a amazing team of really experienced folks who've been in this industry for about anywhere from 25, 30, 40 years, coming in through multiple areas. Some of them are audio experts, some of them are metadata experts, and now we have an AI expert in my team as well. And most of our roles is basically three-phase. We look at the three horizon strategy. As part of any office of the CTO, we work with our CTO to make sure that what technology trends are coming up, we start investigating those. What was a technology trend a few years ago is now a product today. So that actually means that we also help make that real. This is not just about investigation and research, but then that's where, when I say my role is about the technology and architecture, it's the technology strategies coming up, but then finally converting it into the architectures that our products actually expose finally. But this requires not just an understanding of technologies, but customers as well. What do they need? So we work with the business leaders, with the product management leaders of our company to understand what they're bringing in. But venues like this allows me to interact directly
Right.
sometimes and just see, does the technology make sense? What I'm talking about, is it understandable? Can we translate it into things that customers actually need? So that's my first class experience, which I absolutely adore.
Right.
So that's really the role that we have.
Okay, so speaking of technology, then in that case brings me to my next and some very important questions related to technology. Technology has been and is continuing to be a key driving force in all the changes around us, right from the time when we wake up in the morning to the
Mhm.
time we go to bed. Technology is really the one catalyst that is influencing us, impacting us in so many ways. Speaking of which, this podcast is being shot on one single camera on one phone. That is technology.
That's
That
technology.
is technology. From those big cameras that we shot, we used to shoot on. We still do. Some industries still do. But to be able to come to the size of this software and a camera and technology, how much do you think is technology going to impact the future, not just in the media and broadcast industry, but also globally across all industries? Every single morning we wake up to a new technology to look for on the new horizon, new emerging trends. Speak to us a little bit about the fact that this is a driving force on an everyday basis across all sectors.
It is absolutely a driving force across all sectors. As you said, technology is changing dramatically, and that's definitely bringing efficiency. Right? Things that just to do things faster, more content in our field, we need to produce more, sometimes with less, right? But that's not always bad, because this is about getting more efficient as well and giving us space to be more creative in our industry. Um, and just kind of coming to the media field itself,
Yeah.
the one thing that's not changing is our need to be entertained,
Ha.
right?
Yeah.
That remains the same. But you can see how things like games, like the new generation going up with games, uh, the new generation, well, we are part of the new generation when we're using mobile. There was a
Yeah.
time when we were part of the, oh my
Video
God, these guys are going to disrupt
Yeah.
everything. They're not going to watch television. But guess what? We just increase the amount of content because we still need to be entertained. Stories still need to be told, right? The news is still happening. So how we actually produce for it, how fast we produce, how rich does it become, that's what's changing. That's what technology is enabling. How we're shooting for it, how we're actually broadcasting it. Right? Who would have thought that most of our news would actually be now coming from sometimes the social media sites, right? And podcasts versus the set schedules of certain broadcasts. So the pull nature of information gathering versus the pushing,
Right.
those are social behaviors
Right.
changes that has also driven some of the technology changes. Sometimes did mobile enable the pull technology, or our need that we just wanted to kind of pull the information when we need gave a purpose to mobile? We don't know, but it's always a self-feeding mechanism that keeps driving things forward. To things computation costs are going down. Your phone is doing way more than some of the PCs we used to do a long time ago. Storages on this is growing like crazy. So that technology trend continues as well. Cloud computing is allowing us to just pop up new production really fast somewhere. That's allowing for faster content creation, not just in our field, but again, cloud computing is everywhere now.
Right.
So these are all, I think it's going to feed itself to drive things faster. But one thing is that's not going to change is our need to entertain ourselves and to be current with what's going on. And by the way, news, the definition of news now is not just what's happening in politics or in
parliament.
cricket or
Yeah. Yeah.
it's about what's happening with you, with my friends.
Yeah.
That's news.
That's
So when
news
you
as
start
well.
combining all that information on the social media platforms, that's a society change that's actually driving some of the technology trends, but the technology is enabling some of those trends as well.
Speaking of technology, and a very important question, something that you will be able to help us decode. We're talking about metadata, we're talking about AI. We're talking about Chat GPT and God knows so many other chat bots, so many other things, right? These are just a few names that we can take at the tip of our tongue. Should I be afraid? Should you be afraid? Should we be afraid of our jobs?
I don't think we should be afraid. What we should know of and we should anticipate is change.
Right.
But we just talked about change.
Yes.
The fact that mobiles came and suddenly disrupted a lot of other technologies. AI is going to disrupt. There's no question about it. Our jobs will change. But change is good. It's not to be feared. As long as we adopt it, that's what matters. So there are, we talk about the fact that that AI will, for example, automate the mundane tasks, right? But then yet, we talk about the fact that new creatives, when they join, we have a shortage of people joining our industry. How do we train them on some of the mundane tasks that we used to give them? So of course, now there's a fear. Oh, how do we do that now? How do we attract new people?
Right.
But one of the things that we're showing concepts of are things like, a chatbot technology, conversational editing, which is making things more accessible to learn. So maybe learning changes. Learning is no longer about doing the rote, mundane jobs just to learn everything. So it's not going to be about the learning through rote, mundane jobs, but it's actually going to be new ways of learning. So that's one of the examples where I think things will definitely change. But our hope is that with artificial intelligence, you become much more creative.
Right.
Much more creative. Take away the mundane tasks so that you get more time to be creative. And we also believe that human has to be in the loop. That's a choice that we make.
But AI and Chat GPT can't do the Nuremberg Messe podcast, will they?
No, exactly. I still need to travel over here. You still need to.
I still have to set up the camera.
Exactly. It'll speed up your task. Exactly.
Yeah. Speak to us about some of your clients, some of your success stories, which I'm sure you would love to share with us, on how AVID has been a tool of benefit for your clients, hugely that they may have benefited. I, for one, can vouch that in newsrooms, AVID is something that we swear by.
Yeah.
If there is no AVID, a newsroom cannot function. And we can't bring the breaking news on your screens. So talk to us about some of your clients that have benefited by using AVID and some of your success stories.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. And the success stories are plain to see
One to
because
many?
because if you watch television, if you listen to music, if you watch movies, most likely it's gone through some sort of AVID system, whether it's a Hollywood movie or even a Bollywood movie, whether it's video or audio or storage, and definitely in the broadcast side, it's very prevalent. And we do serve, the success stories span from the creators being more creative. So individual creators just being able to tell their stories. So that can be people like journalists, like you were, just telling your story. Or it could be a music creator who's using our AVID Sibelius software for compositions or using Pro Tools for mixing. We just released, to appeal to the new generation, Sketch.
Yeah.
Sketch is our latest success story because Sketch is an iPad app where you can just start ideation on your music before you take it into the professional mixing software with Pro Tools, right? So these are some of the. So that's the appeal to the individual creatives. And then you have the large enterprises, and as well as small businesses. The large enterprises are newsmakers, as you yourself mentioned. It's AVID in that case needs to be robust. I'll call it a factory, a media factory.
Yeah.
But that's only in a positive way, not boring way. That it needs to run robustly. It needs to allow you to have breaking news. So that's something that our very hardened products allow you to do. So that's in the broadcast market, but same thing with drama post, theatrical post. We have more time, but a lot of content to deal with and pipelines to deal with. So these are all very large success stories, whether it's the theatrical productions, broadcast news, music creators, or even using, somebody performing at the concerts with our consoles. You see AVID everywhere in these cases, being creative while giving the rock hard, hardened products and pipelines that you can trust.
That's fantastic. And I think on concluding thoughts, I would also like to then mention and sort of say that while technology may be affecting us, I think there are pros and cons to it. I don't think there's one standard definition of how it is good for us. I think there are two sides to how technology is really impacting and influencing us. But on concluding thoughts, is there something that you'd like to share as somebody who is an expert in this field, as somebody who understands that whether it is Avid or any other software,
Mhm.
would you then say that one needs to embrace all of this in a positive mind? Because I think even in a country like India, we are just very apprehensive about opening up to newer technologies,
Mhm.
newer gadgets. We have those apprehensions. I
Mhm.
think that comes because we're also very traditional in
Yes.
our outlook and in our mindset. So there's no good or bad, but would you then say that technology is something that at the end of the day everybody has to embrace with a open mind? Would you agree to that?
Open mind, definitely, but technology is also to serve you with your business needs. If you There is change management always involved in companies. That is real. We can introduce brand new technologies, but they may not succeed commercially if they're not ready for change. So there are process change that need to happen. So it's not just about your open-mindedness, but it's also the change management processes that need to go in as well. So both need to come together. But fundamentally, yes, technology will change, but part of our role as Avid is also to make sure, because we understand our customers, how much change, where are they looking for change, right? Like some of the AI technology that we're showing, it's not to say we're replacing all the creators, but we all always believe there's a human creator in the loop. So we're making a choice of how to expose those technologies
Right.
in particular ways.
Right. All right. And with that, I think we would also conclude this podcast. And on a sign off, I would like to ask you your message to the broadcast team and your message for the entire team and for Nuremberg Messe for putting this platform together for industry leaders like yourself.
So this has been an absolutely fantastic platform. I love the fact that the conferences are actually being held outside, not secluded somewhere, because then they are open for everybody to hear. I saw many people just stopping, listening, and coming in. This has been absolutely great. I love the fact that this is localized, but yet you have a large representation from the global, the vendors as well as consumers over here. So I believe this is a great place to get really that Indian context
Right.
for us. But also just the organization is wonderful. The facilities are wonderful.
The venue is
The
fantastic as
venue
well.
is absolutely
Thank you very
fantastic.
much, Mr. Shailender Mathur, for your time for this podcast. And I think the key takeaway from this is that change is key and that change is inevitable at the end of the day. Am I right?
It is, absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you very much.